happening. You know, it used to be global cooling. If you look back years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said, global cooling will kill the world. We have to do something. Then they said global warming will kill the world. But then it started getting cooler. So now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change. Because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong.
Climate change kill us? It is extremely unlikely that climate change will cause human extinction in the immediate future, but it is already causing deaths and poses a severe, multifaceted threat to human life and civilization. The World Health Organization, WHO, has called climate change the single biggest health threat facing humanity. The risk is not a single catastrophic event, but a threat multiplier, increasing the frequency and intensity of dangerous events that harm human health and well-being. Direct health impacts. Extreme heat. Heat waves are becoming more frequent and intense, contributing to heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion and stroke. The WHO has reported that heat-related deaths for people over 65 increased by approximately 85% between 2000 to 2004 and 2017-2021. Weather disasters. More frequent and intense storms, floods, droughts, and wildfires cause immediate death and injuries.
Changes in temperature and rainfall patterns are altering the geographic range of disease vectors, like mosquitoes and ticks. This is increasing the spread of diseases such as dengue fever, malaria, and West Nile virus. Water and food insecurity. Droughts and floods threaten food and water supplies, leading to malnutrition, waterborne diseases, and related deaths. Mental health effects, extreme weather events, food shortages, and displacement can cause significant stress, anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Threat to civilization and quality of life.
Climate law is here. ICC declares inaction illegal. What if not fighting climate change could be illegal? The world's top court just said as much. ICC delivered a landmark advisory opinion on July 23, 2025 on states' obligation concerning climate change. It held that climate change is an existential threat and states must prevent significant environmental harm, cooperate internationally, and uphold human rights to a clean environment. The declaration was unanimous, only the fifth such ruling in ICC's 80-year history. Climate obligations are now legally binding and not just aspirational. So what comes next now? Expect a wave of climate litigation worldwide as communities, activists, states test the boundary of this ruling in their courtroom. Countries will face stronger pressure to align their domestic laws with the international obligation, accelerating transitions to clean energy and resilience.
For many people, the effects of climate change are already a grim reality, challenging the very foundations of society. Ecosystem collapse. Climate change threatens ecosystems on land and in the ocean, with cascading effects on the food web. This could lead to a rapid loss of species and natural resources that humanity relies on. Economic disruption. Climate change can disrupt supply chains, damage infrastructure, and suppress economic productivity, especially in agriculture. A 2025 study highlighted that climate change is already driving massive economic losses. Forced migration. Rising sea levels, storms, and droughts are displacing millions of people, particularly in vulnerable areas like small island nations and low-lying coastal regions. This displacement increases the risk of poverty and health crises. How to protect ourselves? Significant action is needed to avoid the worst outcomes and protect human health and well-being. Mitigation. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is crucial to limit the overall temperature increase. This involves shifting to renewable energy, improving energy efficiency, and restoring forests. Adaptation. Communities can build resilience by adapting to the unavoidable effects of climate change. Examples include developing heat warning systems, planting trees to cool urban areas, improving disaster preparedness, strengthening health infrastructure. AI responses may include mistakes. World Health Organization, October 12, 2023. Key facts. Climate change is directly contributing to humanitarian emergencies from heat waves, wildfires, floods, tropical storms, and hurricanes, and they are Favicon, World Health Organization, WHO. Causes and effects of climate change. United Nations. Loss of species. Climate change poses risks to the survival of species on land and in the ocean. These risks increase as temperatures climb. Exacerbated by climate. Favicon. Welcome to the United Nations. For Asia-Pacific, climate change poses an existential threat of D7 2023. Procurement, Asia and the Pacific. For Asia-Pacific, climate change poses an existential threat of extreme weather, worsening poverty, and risks to public health. Favicon. UNDP. While a total human extinction from climate change in the near future is unlikely, it is already causing deaths and poses a severe, escalating threat to human life and civilization. The World Health Organization, WHO, has called climate change the single biggest health threat facing humanity. The risk is not a single apocalyptic event, but a threat multiplier, which intensifies many existing dangers to human health and well-being. Researchers have also warned that worst-case scenarios, including societal collapse or human extinction, remain dangerously underexplored and cannot be completely ruled out, especially in the long term. The many ways climate change is already harming humanity. More frequent and intense heat waves, floods, droughts, wildfires, and storms directly lead to injury, illness, and death. Heat-related deaths for people over 65 increased by approximately 70% in 2 decades. Disease spread. Changes in temperature and rainfall patterns are altering the geographic range of disease vectors like mosquitoes and ticks, increasing the spread of illnesses such as malaria and dengue fever. Warmer oceans can also fuel the spread of bacteria like Vibrio cholera. Food and water insecurity. Droughts, flooding, and shifting weather patterns threaten food production and water supplies. This can lead to malnutrition, waterborne diseases, and related deaths, particularly affecting already vulnerable populations. Economic disruption and poverty. Climate change damages infrastructure, disrupts supply chains, and reduces economic productivity, pushing millions more people into poverty. Outdoor laborers, for example, are facing increased risks from extreme heat. Mental health effects. The trauma from extreme weather events, displacement, and the existential threat of climate change are causing significant stress, anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Displacement and conflict. Rising sea levels, storms, and droughts are displacing millions of people, increasing the risk of poverty and potentially fueling conflict over depleted resources. Biodiversity loss. Rapid environmental change is leading to mass mortality in species like trees and corals. This can cause the collapse of ecosystems and threaten the natural resources humanity relies on for survival. What is needed to protect ourselves? Significant action is required to avoid the worst outcomes and protect human health and well-being. Mitigation. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is crucial to limit the overall temperature increase. This involves transitioning to renewable energy, improving energy efficiency, and protecting forests. Adaptation. Communities must adapt to the unavoidable effects of climate change to build resilience. Examples include developing early warning systems for disasters, preparing health infrastructure, and planting trees to cool urban areas.